All right, good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Odette and I'm joined today by Emily and Nikki. We work for Plano Public Library. While in the Zoom program, we're going to set some ground rules and then we'll get into the content. While in the Zoom program, you can exit the full screen mode by using the escape key on your keyboard or clicking exit full screen on the top right of the screen. During this webinar, your camera and microphone are turned off. If you have any questions, please place them in the chat box at the bottom of your screen or the Q&A box. All comments in the chat should remain respectful. Participants that do not follow this rule will be taken out of the webinar and not allowed back in. Finally, staff cannot and will not offer any advice or on choosing or evaluating any investment products or specific financial advice. This class is for informational purposes only, and the views expressed do not reflect the official positions of the Federal Reserve System or the Plano Public Library. Welcome to Building Wealth, Budgeting, a beginner's guide to securing your financial future. This series was created by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas to help you as you create a plan for building wealth. This is the first part of a three-part series, and we will cover budgeting and how it relates to your building wealth strategy or journey. First, we will define wealth, clarifying what wealth means to you and your family. And then we will explore learning the language around building wealth. And finally, we will speak more in depth about budgeting to save and discuss next steps. And then the next two parts in this series will cover saving money and controlling your debt. Okay. All right. So before we dive into budgeting, it's important to understand what wealth is. Wealth can mean more than having unlimited amounts of money. This is going to be unique to each person. Let us know in the chat or just think to yourself, what does being wealthy mean to you? Does it mean you can help your children with college expenses? Maybe it means you're able to purchase a home. Keep these initial thoughts in mind as we learn more about building wealth. It's important to understand the language used around financial matters. Assets, liabilities, and net worth are three basic concepts that can help you better understand the steps to building wealth. Assets are things that you own that have value. And here are some examples: cash, savings accounts, retirement accounts, stocks and bonds, houses, or cars. Assets can be divided into two broad categories, and what fits into each can change over time. There's assets, and then there's wealth-creating assets. A wealth-creating asset is a thing that you own that has value, and that value generally increases. What's the difference? A couch is an asset. You can sell a couch for money or trade it in for another item because it has value. A couch is not a wealth-creating asset because it decreases in value every year you own it. A house is a wealth-creating asset because generally it will increase in value. Liabilities are debts, money you owe. These include credit card balances, mortgages, car loans, student loans, and other forms of debt. Another important component to think about is equity. It is a part of your net worth and your wealth. As an example, you can list your house as an asset and a liability. The market value of your home is an asset, how much your house is worth. Unless you own your home outright, you have a mortgage. This is the liability, money you still owe to the bank. The difference between these two is equity, and equity contributes to your net worth. The simplest way to calculate your wealth is to figure out your net worth. So to calculate your net worth, you add up all your assets and then subtract all your liabilities. A simple way to do this is to create a balance sheet. To create a balance sheet, you would list all your monetary assets, list all your liabilities, subtract liabilities from assets, and that's your net worth. Here's a quick example. Anthony here, our example, lists his assets. He has cash, savings, stocks, retirement accounts, and his car. Notice at the top it says wealth building assets and then other assets because he's determining that his car is probably going to decrease in value as time goes on. Below that, he lists his liabilities. He still owes money on that car. He carries a credit card balance. He still has student loans, and he has other small debts. So here you can see in total, his assets add up to $46,500. When he adds up his debts, he has $22,500 in debt. Anthony has a positive net worth. He owes less money than he holds in assets. The Dallas Fed provides a tool to help you calculate your net worth. Let's walk through creating a balance sheet together. Give me 1 minute while we transfer over there. So this is the website, and we will place links in the chat as we go along and at the end. So you will have them for the future if you want to follow along yourself. So this is one. Here's Anthony, who we were talking about, and they have other example sheets. And here you can input your own amounts. Keep in mind, you can do this with paper and pencil, use an Excel spreadsheet, or a digital tool like this one. What's important is to get a clear picture of your whole financial situation. So for this made up scenario, our person has added up their cash on hand that they have in their wallet and the money in their checking account. So they have $950 on hand. In their savings account that they have for long-term savings, they have $2,100. They don't currently have any stocks, bonds, or other investments. They're kind of young, but they've been working their job for a little bit and they have $15,000 in a retirement account with their employer. And the home they currently live in is worth around $235,000. Let's see. They think they can probably get around $6,000 for their car. And they don't have any other miscellaneous assets. So then we move on to their liabilities. They still owe on their home $200,000. They took out a home equity loan a while ago and they still owe $13,000 on it. They don't owe on their car and they do not carry a credit card balance. They pay it off every month, but they have $50,000 in student loan debt. I hope I did the right amount of zeros on those. Here, for these types of tools that you'll find online, usually they'll have a calculation function, so they add up for you. Of course, you can always do this with simple calculator, pen and paper, no big deal. So it adds up their assets, $259,050. Their total liabilities are $263,000. So they actually have a negative net worth. They owe more than they have in assets. So this is also a possible scenario, not just like Anthony. Some are going to have positive net worth or negative net worth. Either way, the next steps are still important. We're going to talk about setting financial goals and how that influences your budgeting. Okay. Now that we understand some of the basic language and we know how to calculate our net worth, let's learn about the basics of budgeting. Goals are an important part of creating your budget and starting your journey to building wealth. Without a clear direction, your building wealth strategy will be harder to implement. This is to keep in mind. Goals should be realistic. Set goals that are achievable. Can this goal be achieved with your income and your required expenses? Is it possible in the time frame you're going to set? They should be time-based. Think of short-term and long-term goals and then get even more specific. Once you've created a budget, can you come up with monthly steps? Goals should be well planned. Create a budget, be aware of current and upcoming expenses. Your car registration isn't a surprise. It comes up every year. So be aware of those upcoming costs that you already know. And finally, you have to allow room for flexibility. Surprise expenses and situations can affect your goals and financial situation. And we can't know what we don't know. But keeping in mind that something always comes up is an important part of having a solid budget. You can divide up your goals into timeframes, short-term goals and long-term goals, and this will depend on you, your financial situation, your family. Anthony has short-term goal. His short-term goal is to save $3,000 a year for 3 years, so he can have $9,000 for a down payment on a house. Hopefully that is enough. He has long-term goals of having $5,000 a month to live on when he retires in 30 years. So 2 different time frames, 2 different types of goals. They're still financial goals, but let's evaluate them. The goals are realistic. He has evaluated his income and his expected expenses, and he thinks he can save this amount of money. They are time-based. He has clear deadlines for when he wants to complete the goal, but they are not well planned or flexible yet. To plan these goals well and add flexibility, Anthony needs to create a budget. To achieve your financial goals, you need a budget. Budgets help you understand where your money is going, avoid overspending, and save money to build wealth. The first step in creating a budget is to track your day-to-day spending. This includes everything you spend money on, whether it's using cash, check, debit, credit, etc. So even that small $3.50 charge at a fast food, everything counts. Here we see another example from our Building Wealth content is Gabby. This is Gabby spending for 3 days. She has, and this is part of it, she has one column for everything that is spent using cash, debit, or check. And then the last column has the money she spent using a credit card or charge card. You can use your bank's online portal to review purchase information from your different accounts. You can start a manual ledger. There's apps or digital ledgers. A good time frame, if you have no idea what you're spending your money on day to day and what that looks like at the end of the month, spending a month tracking your spending or 2 weeks at least is a good idea to have a clear view of your average spending. Once you have that clear idea of your usual spending, it's time to create the budget. And as you can see, there's lots of steps before we get here because preparation is very important. For this, make sure you have your monthly income and your spending information. We're going to walk through Gabby's budget. In the first column, we see the categories she is using for her budget. So here we have her income. On the left, take-home pay, and you can see other examples of possible income: overtime pay, pension, alimony, other income. It's going to depend on your situation. Maybe you receive government benefits like Social Security or SSI. This is the place to list those amounts. On the right, we see all of her expenses. Like income, these categories are going to depend a lot on your personal circumstances. Common categories include housing, groceries, car payments, gas, and more. If you have more than 1 month of spending information, you can use the average of those amounts to write in your budget. Here at the bottom, we can see that Gabby is not creating wealth. She is creating debt. On average, she is spending $85 more a month than she is making and going further into debt. This is the point when you put your budget into action and work towards your goals. To start building wealth instead of debt, Gabby decides to make a few changes. First, she's going to pick up extra hours at work, which is going to translate to an extra $40 a month in her take-home income. So first we had current income. She takes home $2,600 a month. She's going to work overtime hours. In her new budget, she's going to have $2,600 and $2,640 to spend each month. Next, she needs to determine how to lower her spending. Here is her original spending, and she's deciding to cut back in a few things. In the middle column, you can see she is going to get a cheaper internet service. Good luck. She is going to spend less money on clothing per month, so she's going to give herself a lower allowance. And because she's going to cut back on the amount of time she goes out to eat and other entertainment, she's going to spend less on gas, and that's also going to cut back on miscellaneous daily expenses like getting a coffee, that kind of thing. Because she increased her income and decreased her spending, she is now saving $125 a month instead of overspending $85 a month. Even if your obligations prevent you from making drastic changes immediately, these basic steps can help you see where your money is being earned and spent. Let's review what we went over today. First, in the building wealth journey, we want to get the big picture view of our financial situation. Use a balance sheet in a piece of paper or digitally to list all of your assets and liabilities and figure out your net worth. Second, you want to create your financial goals. Make sure your goals are realistic, time-based, well-planned, and flexible. Third, create that budget. If you don't have a clear idea of what your goals are, first track your daily spending for 2 weeks or a month, and then use paper and pencil or digital tools to create a budget. Finally, modify your budget to meet your goals. As you can, decrease or change your spending or increase your income to meet your goals. There are additional resources you can access. The Building Wealth, the full curriculum by the Dallas Fed is available online in English and in Spanish. The library has many resources that can help you on your financial journey. The Morningstar Investment Research Center and Value Line are both investment research databases, and they are available to all Plano Library card holders from home. Value Line, you have to come in, I believe. But they're available for investment research, and there's also physical copies at some of the branches for Value Line. Schimmelfinnig has them. There's a lot of popular books on personal finance, such as I Will Teach You to Be Rich and The Total Money Makeover, and many other financial literacy titles in digital and physical formats. And then on the right, we see what is upcoming in our Money Smart classes. This was the first part of the Building Wealth series. After this, in November, we'll have Building Wealth Saving Money, and then Building Wealth Controlling Debt in December. And then we're going to have another financial literacy program called 6 Ways to Tackle Financial Stress, virtually in November and in person at Schimmelfinnig in December. Finally, Plano Library has a podcast. If you didn't know, it is available to listen to and subscribe. And if there's, sorry about that, if there's any questions, please let us know. A survey will pop up when you close out of the class, and we appreciate your feedback. And thank you for joining us.